And let's see if the final game to close out the night is no exception to that rule.
J-Team up against Frank Esports. Actually, no items for Kaiwing. Okay, he's got them now. He forgot to buy them, but he's got them now, so love to see it.
He's so eager to get in for the level 1 cheese, right? That just forgets to even purchase anything. That's happened to the best of us.
It does. Okay, so one thing that I think is a little interesting is that Eminem's actually gone for the Ignite. So I think it makes sense. The only CC coming in really is the Annie, but Annie CC is really, really strong, right? I feel like it's something that you almost can't ignore. So it's going to be interesting, playing a short-range ADC up against the Annie without the cleanse. I have to see if he can manage it. First strike as well on Minji. I feel like in competitive, there aren't that many options for Annie. You know, like in solo queue, you see a lot of stuff like the Dark Harvest, but definitely not particularly good in the competitive game.
Yeah.
Oh, Enso actually misses the first RQ of the game. It always hurts to miss that.
Yeah, it's a lot of poke damage, especially when you're running a Comet, right? So you want to make sure that gives you that slight lead to almost like set the pace whilst both teams are rushing to try and get that level 2 as quickly as possible. Speaking more towards this, Annie, as the mid lane master yourself, have you had a chance to actually play this new reworked version?
No, I actually haven't played new Annie. I've never really been an Annie enjoyer, but from what I understand, the champ is much the same as before, but it's just a bit stronger at pretty much everything, right? It's just typically weakened lane does last hit very well. Obviously, it's got just the fact that Q is like a very short cooldown, refunds as well. And yeah, becomes that team fighting beast, does well, particularly against short range compositions, can provide that engage. And I think one thing as well with the Annie is that with Rod of Ages now being like kind of a viable item, it makes a lot of those really difficult mage matchups actually playable, right? Stuff like the Orianna or the Azir used to just be unplayable for Annie, but now in those really difficult matchups, being able to just rush Catalyst can make it so that, what is an unwinnable lane at least becomes bearable.
You've got a lot more survivability, right? You can actually, stick around a lot more. I think the biggest thing for me, there's always been a hallmark of Annie, is the fact that her auto attack range is so devastatingly long, right?
Yeah.
That you need to really be working your magic. You need to weave those in as much as you can, especially in these early levels, right? And that's what you can see being threatened every single time Minji's got that stun up and available. A lot of respect has to be shown here by Pretender.
And Lava, he gets the ward. And I believe they should know now that Hollow is on the top side. A reset has actually already come in here for solo kill. He actually picks up the Cull. So not something you often see on the Jax, but it's going to start scaling nice and early. Lava potentially looking towards bot lane, but the wave looks pretty ungankable. And J-Team as well, it's kind of been surprising how much they're willing to prioritize the Sivir, right? Like, it always feels like they're fine dropping bot lane because they always have the Sivir pick available. It'll be interesting to see, how it fares this game, because I think it's a pretty decent Sivir game. At the same time, though, clearly it's no Zeri, right?
Yeah, this is the fascination, right, that Bruce has had with this champion is, not many people are going for it right now. It is obviously incredibly strong, but hold that thought for 2 seconds because Long is in trouble, flashing from one bush to another. Looking to try and doubt your way.
Ooh.
Hollow goes in for a flash passive, thumbs up himself because I think he even knows that was a bit of an overextension.
Yeah, so did get the flash, but was actually flash matched for, virtually no gain at the end of that. Still, I think it's decent. Getting a flash in this matchup, I think, potentially you can look to regank it again. It does alleviate a little pressure onto solo kill. And so far, CS mid, relatively even. And Long, he is going to push out this wave. Should know that even without the flash, he is safe here. Has Lava in the wings, although is spotted on a ward.
Yeah, completely red. Even without that water reveal. Solo Kill can play this one however he likes, knowing that, hey, the jungle is here, good comms to the rest of my team. That means Pretender can get a lot more aggressive in mid lane as a result too.
Yeah, I think something might have gone unnoticed there is that the Jace E, I believe, turned around Annie's W. I'm not sure if Minji just misplaced it, but that's potentially an interaction in the matchup that has to be considered. It looks like resets will come out. Annie, okay, is going towards the Rod of Ages and does have the Catalyst, so now going to be very difficult to move out of that laning phase. Pretender as well, recalling. Have to feel like we'll probably pick up the Dirk. I feel like that is, although he might just go tier longsword. Yeah, maybe tier longsword. Ooh, Cull. Okay. Lots of people going for this game. Oh no, he refunds the Cull. He's messing with me.
He lost to Boris, the shopkeeper again.
Yeah, he did. All right, so bot lane though, Noon Quiver on Bruce up against Dirk on Eminem. And with that Ignite as well, you have to feel like Frank Esports' bot lane has a lot of pressure at this point. But Bruce, you know, the Civil Wave clear, oh my god, a lot of damage being traded back though.
It really is though, so much damage. Spell Shield can only help you so much, right? The heal is what they really need at this point. So chugging through the potions, that is the last one, whilst the Biscuit advantage really would now start to favor the Lucian Nami. Not only that, but obviously they have the Nami heals built into the kit too. So Hollow clears out vision, causes a bit of concern. Lauva responds and denies that in a bit of retaliation as the Tether is there, the bubble, the flash, and the runaway as well. And this bot lane really is being held on a knife's edge.
Yeah, both sums they're lost from Eminem as well as the heal from Kaiwing. I think that's a pretty big win. JT managed to keep both their flashes, and I think having no flash on the Lucian potentially makes him very attractive target at level 6 for Lava's Wukong. Top lane, they've fallen a little bit behind in CS, perhaps partially due to that gank. But I don't think a whole lot is going to come of it, at least until a bit later in the game where we see these champions kind of start to become a little bit stronger. Yeah, so far, early game, relatively quiet. Although, I feel like the bot lane has potential now really to punish those sums, right? Eminem being flashless as well as, you know, doesn't have the Ignite. I'd really like to see Lava move down there. In fact, it might be even better to just consider giving up the Herald and just play for a bot dive instead.
Yeah, I'd actually quite like that. It's going to be a long time before he hits level 6 now, only just ticking at level 5, so might have to path towards top lane to get himself to that point with the blue buff having now just respawned. So let's see where it does all materialize. But as it stands, certainly wouldn't mind a cheeky look in bot lane to punish the flashless Lucian.
Now this is maybe a little scary here for Long. Is pushing out, and I don't think he has the flash up yet. Will have Lava on his side of the map. So should feel sort of safe at the same time though. If Hollow can show up here before this wave crashes, feels like he probably can't. Yeah, it looks like this wave will crash. Long, very, very good to get that under before your flash perhaps starts to become an issue. Dragon is live, it hasn't been touched, and Hollow just drops a pink here on the Herald. So perhaps just wants to keep tabs on it while he looks for something else. Potentially a mid play could be on the table, right? Sejuani ult against an immobile mage. Always a possibility.
It's been interesting seeing how Minji's been playing this Annie as well, right? Constantly threatening with the fact that my stun is ready to go. I've seen some where you step on 3 stacks and sort of say like at any given moment I can cycle my cooldowns and a stun disappears out of nowhere. But just the pressure alone of knowing that a stun could be there right in that moment has been enough for Pretender to show a bit of restraint and have to just sort of rely on the shock blast poke more than anything. Frank Esports going to start up the first dragon. And not only be too punished by the fact that they don't have a flash on a Lucian. Instead, Lava does decide to prioritize the Herald. I think a lot in part based on the fact that he had the path top to hit level 6. But Dragon's not a done deal just yet.
Yeah, they're actually looking for the fight here. This is pretty greedy. Lava's not here yet, but they've actually bought enough time for him to get here. Wow, J-Team, yeah, they really want this.
J-Team, does he just walk in here and go for a bit of a smite contest? Jumping in. No, the Dragon gets reset. Instead goes for the Cyclone onto the backline. Minji flashing in with a 2-man Tipper stun. And surely that's first blood. There it is. The retaliation is huge though. And 3 members die. Make it 4, make it 5. As everybody is falling around. And it's just Long surviving, lonely in top lane.
Yeah, insane play here from Solo Kill to not only TP into the fight, but then come and clean up 2 kills out of it. And I think Long, invested TP on the lane, as is fairly normal for top laners early, right? But I think this kind of goes back. Let's take a look at the replay first. So there was honestly pretty good initial engage, I think, from J-Team. They're getting good poke. They're waiting for Lava to show up. And then I think maybe just a bit disjointed, right? I think Lava, he goes for an engage very early without any real follow-up from Minji until it's already a bit too late, right? And luckily, manages to trade 1-for-1 off the back end, but Solo Kill just comes in, cleans everyone up. And as I was saying, I think this almost goes back to just earlier in this game where Hollow pressured top, right? Got the flash, and now that's kind of led to Solo Kill having that TP advantage and really cashing in off that.
And just a lot of great restraint shown by Hollow for me personally. The fact that he can see that the aggression is coming from JT. Now he says, you can't take this without a smite. There's no world in which this will happen. Know that they're desperate to try and go for the smite steal, entertain the idea of a fight, and just play it a little bit better. So pressure is on. Frank Esports won't mind. First Dragon goes their way. 1K lead as a result. And enough time has been afforded now that Flash is back up for Lucian.
Well, Minji doesn't have Flash. It's going to be pushed out of mid. Fortunately, no Sejuani out here for Hollow. Minji, though. Well, Lava is engaged on. Does manage to walk away. And I think we should expect not too much to happen for the next 3 minutes. There's no neutral objectives up, at least for a while. The Herald's still in Lava's inventory. Where can he use it? I mean, maybe top lane? Looks like top lane dropped to 3 plates when Solo Kill roamed with that TP play. Perhaps lost some plates up there.
I wouldn't mind a top lane, honestly, right? You got a 2-0 Jax that's already got a strong lead on this one. You've got, no doubt, a very frustrated Fiora as a result of what happened at that Dragon fight. 10 stacks soon to be left on that Cull. You cash that in with a turret dying with all those plates as well. And I think this Jax just really starts to 1v9.
Certainly will. Now, 4 members here committed from Frank Esports. Can they actually do anything with it? I'm not too sure. No, it doesn't look like they're going to force them off the tower, but it's nice to at least put a little bit of pressure towards this side of the map. Divine Sunder now completed by both top laners. So feeling pretty good about that. And I wonder if Minji, you know, going back to that fight where that Flash Annual didn't quite connect, perhaps if you were going for a bit more of an early game build, right? Like something with the Lost Chapter looking towards that Leandries, actually might have made the difference. Okay, yeah, Herald is going down top. TP actually comes in to try and defend any dive, but I don't think anything is really going to happen. Oh, the Herald. They better clear out the wave.
They need to clear this wave completely. Shelly's confused. What am I doing? Am I headbutting this? No, I want to kill the minions. JT is spewing. Tibbers goes down. And they'll say, get away from this Herald. Finally, the headbutt connects. And solo kill is worse for wear. But now Frank Esports make their retaliation known in the bot lane. Culling, Glacial Prism, Bubble, and Wave. And so much is thrown at Bruce. He wishes he had 15 spell shields.
Really cleanly executed there from Frank Esports. Just managed to kill Bruce on the trade and lose basically as little as you can in the top side there. So yeah, feeling really good. Obviously only have a small gold lead, but I think again, all in the right places and starting to kind of shut down the win conditions of J-Team. Top lane actually could be in trouble. Has pretended behind him. Ooh. I mean, he's extremely low.
Long's teasing, isn't it, right? Counter-Strike should be up, available if there was to be a flash all-in, especially with the challenge being set. But no, Long shows a great deal of discipline. I think any other sort of rookie would have come into that one and say, I've got the kill here.
Now, it looks like they actually just might lane swap, which is going to keep Long pinned in the lane, at least for some time. Will perhaps make his way back down towards mid now. And I think slight CS lead starting to be built up, right? Across the board. And he does complete the Rod of Ages. I wonder, though, obviously will scale well from this point, but I wonder if too much has happened for it to really be worth it, right? Like, it feels like there's been a lot of plays where having a bit more damage from an earlier spike, you know, potentially makes a difference. Especially in a lane where I feel like you don't really need the catalyst. But it's interesting. We'll see if it pays off, because it's really good scaling. What will they go for next? Dragon's up in 2 seconds, as well as Herald in 20. Hollow's waiting in the wings.
Certainly is. Love also there to protect this mid laner. So it's just going to be a gentleman's agreement that, well, we started up the first Dragon last time. You came for the contest. We're going to start up the second one. Will you entertain the idea of looking for it again? Lava says no. Much more fixated in finishing off that top tier one. Would be the first target of the game. Solokil well aware of this, though, completely sacrificing it.
And now it looks like it will be 2 drags picked up for Frank Esports here. And I think J-Team should be able to trade the Herald off the back end of this. At the same time, though, spent a lot of time looking at top. Not actually on the Herald early. And I wonder if Frank Esports might actually want to contest this. I feel like there's no way you can get M&M up in time. So I think you'd probably just end up giving it over. But 2 drags already for Frank Esports. You have to feel good about that.
You certainly do. So let's have a look now. What can be done to get themselves back into the mix of things? Because I think when we've talked about Frankie Sports, they have been the team all about early game, all about objective control. Certainly up there with the likes of CFO for looking to try and stack these up as quickly as possible. They've been playing for the Dragons. J-Team have gone for both their Heralds. It's all about making sure they can try and hit that late game as quickly as they can.
Yeah, and I think this late game, it might come sooner than you think, because the fact that 2 Dragons have been picked up already kind of means that teams are forced to fight for that third one, right? So kind of that forced fight being as early as, like 20 minutes here, as opposed to what is normally perhaps more towards that 30-minute mark, feels very early, and people aren't going to have as much time to scale.
And I think it's done a really good job here for Long, right? Despite being down 2 kills, he's received all those turret plays, so it's actually kept this lane fairly even.
Actually, 1,000 gold difference in mid lane right now, which is kind of unexpected, honestly. I feel like a lot of it just has been from the better skirmishing from Frank Esports, consistently coming out just a little bit on top. And Minji is going to start pushing in that bot wave. Again, no neutral objectives up for the next 3 minutes, but I think if you're J-Team, you really got to be thinking, okay, like next drag, we can't really give these up anymore, especially if you're playing a split push win condition, because that means that eventually we'll just be forced to team fight the 4th drag. And having Fiora taken away from that split push when she is kind of forced to, as opposed to just like has the opportunity to, it feels very different. Lava, he's getting a bit frisky around here.
Yeah.
Perhaps looking for something.
Yeah, certainly is looking for something. That's a 2-man Cyclone. Bubble doesn't connect. Culling as a disengage, forcing J-Team back into the River. Hollow completely isolated, but now has pretended to back him up. Lava in trouble as a result, forced to flash. And receives a Karma Shield for good measure too. And it just, frustration really, right? You found 2 people with the Cyclone, but you've got no follow-up to kill confirm.
I'm surprised Minji didn't look to flash forward there at any point, because I think he was that follow-up you were really looking for. And had the bear, had the stun, but just never really felt like he wanted to go for it. And I feel like when you've got Lucidity Cosmic Boots, you can afford to kind of use your flash somewhat freely. At the same time, though, wouldn't have flashed for the next drag. So perhaps it's saying that that next 3rd dragon fight is too important. Maybe we can't invest anything here.
Yeah. Maybe just not convinced it was a sure thing.
Yeah.
And feels like, in the grand scheme of things, that kill doesn't really net them too much to write home about. So can understand a little bit of restraint, but would have done a number to try and stabilize that 1k deficit that you mentioned before that is separating these 2 in that mid lane. Either way, though, J-Team right back, having regened all their HP. Going to say we're going to summon the Herald nice and early. Still another minute 30 before we look at the idea of the 3rd dragon spawning. But by their presence alone, they're able to force this Herald to headbutt.
Yeah, the Herald hits the tower, but nothing really comes of it, right? It's just Chunk on the mid tower. And because that's the 2nd Herald, there will be no other Herald coming in to finish that one off. On the side of Frank Esports, I feel like you're feeling so confident about this next fight. Eminem dashes forward. Oh,
Minji's missed it. It's unfortunate. He's gone for the flash tip of stun and just died a very early grave. Flash away to dodge out that one, as well as a follow-up from Pretender to try and snipe a kill on the tail end as well. And it just feels like a calamity of flashes and ultimates and skill shots flying, but not a lot really happening.
Yeah, Minji, I think, really fumbled the play, right? He's been waiting with that flash bear for so long. Let's take a look at the replay. So I think initially, look how much Eminem does here to Bruce. I mean, just 2 autos chunk him to half HP. Minji goes for the flash W, it does not connect, and then just instantly dies afterwards. And I think, in a way, that's your 3rd dragon contest gone, right? Without the anti-flash,
yeah,
it's going to be really tough. Perhaps they'll still try, but I think this game is, quickly getting away from J-Team. And perhaps this is, Frank Esports saying, sure, J-Team, they're a decent team, but are they on our level? I don't really think so.
Yeah, and I think you're really looking now towards Long to find some form of inspiration to, almost break apart the strength of Frank Esports. Certainly kept solo kill occupied, which is always a positive. We know what Ajax can do when grouped up with the rest of the team. Kind of curious to see what kind of brand of Fiora Long brings to the table, right? If it is just going to be all-out damage, or if he says, you know what, I need a hole breaker. I need some form of split push pressure, because right now our carries, their own too.
They are. And I think especially with the dragons being so stacked up, you have to feel like even though the carries scale well, especially the Sivir, I'm not sure they're going to be able to get the time. So look at though, there's a lot of members up here.
Yeah, taking a turret, taking a few too many shots. That tidal wave was perfect. And the punishment onto J Team is even better. There's a double kill for solo kill. He's weathered the storm phenomenally well. They're getting the dragon off screen too. And Frank Esports can just do no wrong.
They really can't. And I think it'll also be Baron picked up. There's a lot of pings onto it right now. And on the mid lane, Eminem solo kills Bruce in the midst of all that as well. Just everything going wrong here for J Team. You know, now massively behind in gold, down 3 dragons, about to lose this Baron. And I think if you're J Team, there isn't really a way back in. I mean, maybe with some kind of anti-Wukong wombo.
Yeah.
But you've really missed the mark, right? Like, you've had the opportunity to do that a couple times. And I think I kind of question this Rod of Ages on the anti, right? Because I feel like going the Catalyst, it makes sense for some of those really tough matchups. Jace, though, I don't think is one of them. And I think if you had more early game power, there's several times where perhaps Annie picks up kills. And also another thing I'd really like to fact check is, how is the first strike up against the Jace? Because do you even have the range? But let's see what happened to Bruce on the midwave. In the 1v2, just gets exploded. And it's been a while since we've seen Lucian Nami really flex his muscles, right? But here it is. The reason it's been so strong for so long.
Yeah, and that's Lucian even without the Nami buff, without the Imperial Mandate, just doing it all on his own. It's just a classic of Lucian with this build can just run anybody down. Frank Esports really have found everything they could desire, right? They've got 10 kills to their name. They've got a Baron, 3 dragons, a soul point to look forward to in the next 4 minutes. And really, the siege to make sure that J-Team are locked inside their base. Long is going to do as much as he can, though, to try and preoccupy them. But by the fact that Solo Kill gets those doubles on 2 separate occasions now, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I feel like, you know, wherever Long goes, Jax is quite content to answer.
And I think Long, you know, maybe you can keep pressuring. The Nami ult comes out. Oh, the bubble doesn't quite connect on end. So here comes the Sedge ult. Bruce, what are you doing up that far?
Question. That is a very good question. Just dies before we even get a chance to even discuss that fact. I mean, ultimately, objective bounties are being farmed out. You can see in our picture below that Long is not giving up any time soon to go for this one, but Solo Kill wouldn't be amiss looking to run this one down. The challenge has been set. The fight continues as the siege also does just that inside the base here for J-Team. They've already lost that mid inhibitor. Second is lost in the top side too. I guess the saving grace for J-Team is that their bot lane is at least protected for the meantime.
For now, but I think they've still got a minute on this Baron. I don't think there's time for Solo Kill to get this wave all the way to the bot in here, but I feel like if you're J-Team, there's really not a way back in now, even more so than before. Down 2 inhibs makes it very hard to contest this 4th dragon. You maybe have to get some kind of miracle steal and just hope you can stall the game a bit longer with the Civil Wave clear. But really, you're clutching at straws.
Yeah, this is a bit of a depressing state to find yourself in, right? How do you really play out of this position? Down 7k gold, down really in terms of your carries, not really doing too much with their item contribution. Only now is the Zonius complete. Still, Bruce desperately trying to get to that Navori quick blaze to help with that wave clear, which could honestly be a huge boost, given that you are going to get all those super minions flooding into your base. That could be the you know, the delay tactic that you're hoping for, but it's just so hard to step out of your base. As you can see here, Lalva just forced to burn that flash on CD.
Now the TP's coming through.
Oh my god, wave into double bubble. It's a bit of trouble as Long jumps in from the flank. It's a Fiora behind enemy lines. 1v4, what can they do? Sivir, Bruce finally gets a kill for his crime. Both AD carries actually trading out like Romeo and Juliet. And now Frank are just saying, where are you going, Long? You can't do this. But Long still gets away.
Oh, what a heroic effort from Long.
Wait.
I think actually, I don't think he can do this.
Wait.
We're watching with...
I'm holding my breath.
Okay, he does go down.
I was like, surely he's just dead. Like, you're going to Sejuani with a stun passive.
Yeah, that was really nice from Long. Good attempt from him for sure. I think I saw some inting with some stopwatches in this fight. I'd love to see a replay. I think Minji might have just pressed his stopwatch randomly, I think, in that fight. But now, oh, the Spear of Shojin on solo kill. Not often that you see just like the full damage jacks, right? Like more often you're seeing kind of those tankier builds, but here saying, okay, I'm so far ahead, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So initial engage onto Lava does go wide because he commits the flash, so it's decent. I think also they managed to spot out these two members in the bot bush pretty early. Pay attention to Minji though, because I feel like, you know, kind of walks forward and just like, yeah, grabs a bear, which is good. Randomly Zonya's, I'm not really sure why, but Long on the backside does so much damage in this fight. And I mean, if his team weren't so far behind, you know, potentially could actually get something more off this. But with that much done in the fight and still it just being an even trade, I mean, you feel bad for the guy.
You really do. Yeah, the whole breaker has been purchased because I think they're all in on the idea. I mean, look at that. It really is a standout performance that I'm trying to do this all on my own. But I have a build built to stay away from the team. So I think that team fight there on a more level playing field with the carries in a slightly better position could have been their ticket back into this game for sure.
Yeah, I think I agree. Now, 1 more minute on the Baron. Will Frank Esports just use their in-hit pressure? It looks like they will.
They certainly will. Culling goes out. J-Team, this is their punch back. Can they find anything in it? They cannot. Jace just hits them a little bit too hard with the shock hammer. And really, solo kills inside your walls right now. He's causing you a bit of nightmare as, well, Long's going to go through the river post, sets the challenge, looking to try and proc those vitals, but is forced to dash away, which you hate to see. And I mean, yeah, a minute left on these 2 inhibitors that were claimed such a long time ago. But this one is going to be the final nail in the coffin with the pressure on your Nexus as well to try and contend with. It's everywhere.
Yeah, perhaps don't even need another Baron to end this game. It looks like they've got the 3 inhibs. They can just continue to pressure with the waves. One Nexus tower goes down. Second one's starting to be worked on.
Certainly is. They really want to try and end this one right here, right now. Sub 30 minutes. Barbel finds Minji. Not the target they need, or at least far too overextended to try and go for it. Karmateva will break. Solokil going to jump in. Full damage Jax. Saying, why are you igniting me? It doesn't matter. I can just solo anybody I so desire. Bruce dead again. Eminem too strong. The Nexus exposed. The wave goes out. You're cut from the fountain. And now you are just really trying to buy as much time as you can. But that time has expired. It expired 27 minutes ago. Frank Esports wiping the floor with them. Playing with their food more so than anything.
They really are. Trying to make it so you can't get the end call on this Nexus. I mean, now with 4 people dead. Oh, I don't think they can dive him.
No. They want to try and go for the fountain dive, but it's not to be the case. Frank Esports get it done in 28 minutes. Another win on the board. And they keep themselves in the mix of things, still now tied in 3rd.
Yeah, so important win there for Frank Esports. On the side of J-Team, though, it feels like they